Good morning, dear innovators on site here at Tehnopol and joining us in an online version. So, today is a big day, and Estonia doesn't greet you only with the best business environment in the world, but also with a sunny and hot weather. What could be more brilliant to launch NATO DIANA here in Estonia? And what is DIANA? DIANA is a Defense Innovation Accelerator for North Atlantic. And without further ado, just within a couple of minutes, I will give word to Deepchana, introducing what NATO and DIANA is all about. My name is Kadri Tammai, and I'm the head of Tehnopol Startup Incubator and also leading the launch of DIANA here in Estonia. It will be a brilliant and magnificent program for dual-use startups that creates possibilities that are not existing at this point. So, Deep will join us via online with a video greeting and sends his regards. Unfortunately, he can't be here today, but we are welcoming him in upcoming months.
So today is a big day for DIANA. We're finally launching our first challenge program. I'm very excited to be part of today's launch event in Estonia. Estonia is one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world. It has nurtured a thriving startup ecosystem, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. So it should come as no surprise that DIANA also has a strong footprint in Tallinn, with our regional hub and an accelerator site. DIANA aims to build the strongest dual-use innovation community in the Alliance, and will work directly with leading innovators and entrepreneurs from early-stage startups to more mature companies, helping them to test their ideas, secure grant funding, and get commercial advice to grow their businesses and succeed. I am happy to say that DIANA is now operational and is launching its very first competitive call for proposals. And as DIANA is a completely new initiative, we are launching the first 3 challenges as experimental pilot activities. This means you could be part of this exciting experiment and contribute to the early success of DIANA. We will support the best and brightest innovators to develop dual-use technologies to solve security and defense problems. This year, we are calling innovators to submit proposals in 3 areas: energy and resilience, sensing and surveillance, and secure information sharing. I will let our senior challenge manager elaborate on these areas further and the application process a bit later. But we expect to work with around 30 startups this year. This number will grow as DIANA will launch many more challenges in the coming years. We have a multi-million euro budget this year to set up DIANA and run our pilot program. And DIANA will offer our innovators the following things: a dual-use accelerator program delivered in collaboration with 11 deep tech accelerator sites. And this year we will work with 5 of them on both sides of the Atlantic. Grant funding for the innovators accepted into our accelerator program that doesn't take IP and is also in no way taking any equity. And access to a network of over 90 state-of-the-art test centers across the Alliance, where entrepreneurs can de-risk, demonstrate and validate their proposed dual-use technological solutions. As I said, we don't take IP or equity in any of the ideas we help to develop, because we want to maximize the growth opportunities for our innovators without any of the usual restrictions that you get in this kind of activity. Exposure to a trusted investor network is also going to be a key feature of what we will be doing, and we will be working in partnership with the NATO Innovation Fund to establish that network in the coming months and years. We will also offer collaboration opportunities with allied end users and pathways to market with the NATO enterprise, uniquely addressing 31 separate markets across the Alliance. I'm delighted to launch DIANA's challenges today and start this new journey with you and your partners and our partners in Estonia. My team and I will work hardest to ensure you will have the best possible experience and support from DIANA. And I invite all of you from the tech-savvy Nordic-Baltic region to join us and work together towards finding innovative solutions to societal challenges. I can't wait to work with all of you to shape the security environment of tomorrow. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, Deep, for encouraging words. And now let's take a more deep dive into the program and the proposal itself. So why DIANA? We have already a lot of acceleration programs on the commercial side and also on the defense side. So what new DIANA brings on the table? And this is where actually I have to point out as well that a lot of innovators do feel that probably defense sector is something they wouldn't like to touch. But living here in a small country next to the Russian border, it is obvious that defense is the thing we have to think about. And this is where DIANA as well comes in play, actually builds bridges between the commercial, the civilian, and the defense sector. So to actually build a peaceful future, and hopefully this is something that we can do together. DIANA's ambition is to be basically transatlantic innovation powerhouse to support those dual-use startups in every way they can. And speaking about the overall map, so as Dee pointed out, this year it will be a pilot year. 5 sites all throughout the Alliance will opening their doors for innovators, and 3 of those sites will be in Europe. Here we will be welcoming innovators, dual-use startups, SMEs in Estonia, in Tallinn, and both in Tartu as well. There will be an acceleration program opening up in Denmark as well as in Italy, and 2 sites will be opening doors in US this year. Other sites will follow in upcoming years, and altogether we will have approximately 10 or more accelerators throughout the Alliance. The other thing what I definitely wanted to point out is one of the value proposition elements is the test center network. Never before has one institution built such a test center network for innovators and startups, covering both sides on the commercial, on the civilian, and the defense side. Over 90 test centers are opening their doors for innovators. What it means, there are universities, industry primes, military camps that are not accessible otherwise if you are not part of DIANA family. So here is the footprint of the overall test center. As you see, they are covering the wide variety of allied nations, and probably there will be many more to come in the future. Here in Estonia, DIANA is implemented by a consortium, not only us at Tehnopol, but we are running an acceleration program together with our dearest partners from Tartu Science Park and also from Startup Wise Guys. So just a few words about Tehnopol. As you see, we are a business campus with over 5,000 people coming here to work, over 300 companies. And we support innovators throughout different phases, starting from extremely early phases on the idea-only based up to the corporates where we mix and match startups with corporates. We have been supporting Estonia's startup ecosystem for over a decade and have launched over 600 new startups to this market. Each year, approximately 100 startups are supported by us throughout different programs, mainly oriented on the deep tech sector, whether it's space-related or AI, cyber, and now the dual use regarding DIANA. For us, it's extremely important that innovators gain 6 times higher chance to succeed, and 98% of them recommend the program to others as well. We couldn't do this without our brilliant mentor pool, and I assure you they are already very, very eager to mentor startups coming to the DIANA program as well. But as said, we are not the only ones running the program. So Tartu Science Park is even older than us, founded already in 1992, runs several deep tech programs as well, and Pirko is here. So Pirko, do wave so others can see you, at least here on site. They are the home for Science to Business Launchpad, which is a deep tech-oriented program. They do workspaces, community offices. If you would like to visit them in Center Tartu, then please do so. They have Spark demo area, Silicon Town labs for the product development, and they are the lead partner for European Space Agency's incubation program that we are partnering. Startup Wise guys, Daria is also here, so Daria, stand up and wave please, so everyone can see you. Startup Wise guys have been operating in the cyber defense field already since 2019. They are also running simultaneously multiple acceleration program, heavily focused on cyber, deep tech and defense as well, supporting B2B companies and having mentors in various verticals, over 250 of them. So altogether, among three of us, we can already put together a mentor pool of approximately 500 mentors. They do also have a very strong alumni community with over 250 startups in 45 countries, so basically all over the world. But you are here to hear about DIANA and what the value proposition regarding DIANA is. Here it is. What Deep pointed out is DIANA is providing equity-free development grants in the size of 100,000 euros for all of the companies joining the program. Those grants are equity-free and no IP is taken. After the down selection for the second phase, some of the companies, up to 2 per batch, can receive additional grant up to 300,000 euros. So it makes DIANA, I would say, one of the biggest supporters grant-wise, definitely in the region. Of course, DIANA will put together international mentor pool consisting of thousands of mentors. Already pointed out, over 90 test centers will be available, and mentoring from scientists, tech experts, top-notch business experts, etc., etc. Of course, you will gain credibility through DIANA brand if you are part of the program, and access to potential clients, the giants you are envisioning, industry primes, military sector, in the governments throughout 31 allied nations. And Sille will join us soon, speaking about NATO Innovation Fund, which is a 1 billion fund, so making investments into DIANA startups as well. So, once again, just a bit more about grants. As you see, altogether, there is a possibility to get 400,000 without any equity taken. So, grants are paid upfront to the company and not to individuals. So in order to apply and be accepted, you have to have a company established. So the grants can be used for the product development for various reasons, various aspects are covered, and they have to be used within solving the challenges that DIANA is presenting. There will be a small additional budget for travel and accommodation, so this information will be coming as well. Few words about the acceleration program. It's a unique combination of business and defense curriculum. So it will be split in half. So first 6 months will be a very structured program covering basically all of the elements that you need on the business development side as well on the defense development side. So how do you actually work with governments, how do you actually work with industry primes, how to deal with export controls, etc., all of those topics we are helping you with. So basically, we are calling ourselves as bridge builders. So we are building bridges between startups, between primes, between governments. And within the batch, there will be startups joining in from several challenges, so not only tackling one specific challenge, but many others as well. It will not require relocation, so there are elements that take place on site here. There are elements that are held in a hybrid format or an online format, but you should consider that some traveling may be required. Mentors, as said, world-class mentor pool with best mentors poured from 31 allied nations, a lot of one-on-one mentoring. So if you think about the program that, oh yeah, probably I have already gone through some of the acceleration programs, then this is tailored to your needs, and I can assure you that. Lead mentor for each of the startups, guiding you through the program, and a lot of expert mentors. As said, NATO itself has over 6,000 technical support mentors that basically startups can be connected with. And if we are speaking about connections, then as many times already pointed out, connecting with end users, with primes, with governments, this is the thing that we are helping you to do with, because we know that for many civilian sector startups, this is the hardest part. This is the reason why you are not thinking about working with defense sector, because the entry barriers are simply too high. But now I would like to give word to Bernadette Johnson, who is the Senior Challenge Manager for DIANA, so she can introduce the challenges for this year. Bernadette, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kadri, and what a pleasure to be able to join this on our big inaugural launch day here. I'm just joining for a few minutes to share a little bit more information about the challenges. To be clear, the challenges open call for proposals will launch later today, but we'll get a little sneak preview here. So just as a reminder, where did these challenges come from? When DIANA was established and chartered last year, one of the first tasks was to develop some strategic direction and identify strategic focus areas. Those were approved late in 2022, and as Deep mentioned earlier in his introduction, sensing and surveillance, energy resilience, and secure information sharing were the 3 elements we decided to use for the pilot year. That then led to the development of actual challenge problems, and that's where we are today. And this is where we're inviting innovators to propose their deep tech dual-use solutions, as Kadri also just mentioned. The output is the implementation part of the program. And again, that's 2-phase technology demonstration maturation programs where you obtain grant funding, participate in our Accelerator program, access to test centers on the maps that you saw there, mentoring, as Kadri just discussed, investors, and pathways to allied markets. That is, in fact, the whole goal of DIANA. But here we are today at the challenge call for proposals, and the 3 strategic focus areas we've narrowed down a little further into 3 particular problem statements. In our sensing and surveillance topic areas, we have sensing the coastal undersea environment. In our energy resilience area, we have harnessing microgrid technologies for disaster and conflict recovery. And in the secure information sharing, we have truly reliable and unquestionably secure technology. And I'll spend just a moment and describe each of these in slightly greater detail. In sensing the coastal undersea environment, we're looking for components and systems, so they can be individual devices or fully integrated systems to both sense and gather information in subsurface coastal zones. We focused a bit on coastal waters because of their vast importance as far as economic and as well as border securities. And we're looking for techniques and capabilities for a number of application areas that have both very strong civilian as well as defense and security applications. Those include mapping the bottom, monitoring undersea infrastructure, detecting man-made objects and marine life, looking at the effects of climate change, and visualizing patterns of life in an undersea environment, not something we can do very easily now. In our next area in energy resilience, we're looking at microgrid technologies, specifically components and systems for modular design of microgrids. We're looking by modular, we want them to be capable of scaling, interoperable with existing systems, and we want them to provide reliable energy supply. The technology elements that we are seeking can range from renewable power generation, storage technologies, hardware and software for adaptive, intelligent power conditioning and management, and technologies for detecting and protecting the physical system and components from malicious cyber attack. These applications range from anything post-disaster for in recovery mode, for example, to military operations and operating bases. Many civilian and security applications apply here. And the final area in the secure information sharing is to create a secure and trusted information environment focused primarily on live data streams, such as near real-time video, augmented reality feeds, digital radio, etc. In other words, we're seeking to have a network capability for secure and trusted information sharing that we value very highly today for static documents and files, but also applied to live data streams. We are looking for hardware and or software solutions, specifically those that operate over open networks, can function in austere environments, and in areas with limited global navigation access. This is the general timeline. Today is the red dot. We are opening our call for proposals later today, so we encourage you to look through and read more detail. They will close on August 25th. After which we will fairly rapidly select the candidate set of roughly 30 companies and start the Accelerator program in December. As Kadri mentioned, there is a 6-month Accelerator program called Bootcamp. You will receive 100,000 euros. Roughly 30 startups will be involved, and the role will be to evolve the technology capability. There'll then be a significant down selection, but an opportunity for more funding, up to 300,000 euros, for a second phase of the Accelerator program called Scale. And then finally, the end state of that after 1 year is other elements of the DIANA program supporting transition and adoption pathways. So I encourage you very much to check us out. You can register on our application portal once it goes live later today. You can wander around the website itself and get more information on eligibility and how to apply. And you can follow us on LinkedIn and also get pointed to those sites. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bernadette, for the insights on the challenges. Highly valuable, and Bernadette will be joining us for the Q&A session as well. Just a remark from our side, if usually the down selection is down to 2 or 3, then Estonian government is willing to support innovators for a longer period, providing acceleration program for more companies here in Estonia. So, but without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Pirko Konsa, a member of the managing board at Tartu Science Park, and he will guide you through the application processes, which is the most important, right, Pirko?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, who can apply? Basically, it is for companies who are headquartered in not a member country, and the focus is on startups and SMEs. And the focus is on dual-use companies with the aspect that we are looking more to have companies with a civilian background coming to closer to military. And how mature should be the idea? We are ready to look also for more early stage startups, but TRL4 is this kind of common ceiling what we are aiming at. So the application is organized via portal and it is fully secure. The expectation is not so much on a business, but more on technical side, so that the evaluation will be more focused on the technical aspects of the idea on the focus area. Every challenge area will have approximately 10 companies. The selection is made fully by NATO, so all companies from all NATO member states are treated equally. And that means that it doesn't matter that in which incubator you are applying to. So this is briefly all.
Yes, and we do want to encourage innovators to apply from all over the alliance. As Pirkko pointed out, it doesn't matter that, yes, we are here in Estonia and also in Denmark and in Italy opening the doors for innovators at DIANA. All of the member states of the allied nations can apply if you meet the criteria. So just a few words where you will be accommodated. So we are welcoming here you at Tehnopol Business Campus. We are already incubation floor ready and set for you. So dear startups, please do apply.
And you can stay also in Tartu Science Park. Not only Tallinn, Tartu too.
Of course, it's cutest, a bit smaller university town, just 180 kilometers from Tallinn. So a nice train ride it is to Tartu. So, but with this, it would be all. We are ready for the Q&A session. So all of the people joining us in online, please use the Slido. So use the QR code to enter your questions and we will receive them. All of you here who have turned up, you have a chance to ask questions directly using the mic that will be provided to you by Karen. So we are ready, and Bernadette as well via online is ready to answer your questions. Yes.
Pekka Soren from Helsinki, Extended Runway. When will the contents of the Accelerator program be published more in detail? You just gave some overall headlines of it. That's something we would like to learn, and I would like to learn from maybe DIANA people in Brussels. Is there a plan to generate and create an exchange of training modules to the companies in the Accelerator network in the DIANA universe, because that's something we would highly welcome if it's possible to do.
The curriculum is being polished as we speak, so hopefully quite soon it will be published as well. I do assure you that once it's fully ready, 100% agreed upon, then we will publish it. And regarding potential collaborations, we are more than open to discuss potential collaboration possibilities, let's say that.
Otherwise, we will be doing an awful lot of double work
and
wasting everybody's time.
let's have a follow-up on that one. We have a question online as well. How intense will the acceleration program be for selected startups? So the overall time spendage that we have calculated is 1 day per week. So this is approximately the time frame, how much time per week or month it takes from you. As pointed out earlier already, so the first 6 months will be more workshop heavy, so to say. The other 6 will be tailored specifically on the needs of each of the startups without extensive this kind of training program. And it's not mandatory to be on site the full time, so we are not asking you to relocate, but it is highly appreciated because we all know that it is very, very easy to establish a company here in Estonia. It takes only 10 minutes. So all of the viewers across the Europe, so do fly in, and we have brilliant ecosystem to support you.
Maybe to add that some of the elements of the program will be hybrid, so it is on online, and some of the elements will be on site, so it is quite flexible.
Questions, dear audience? Do you have any questions? Few?
Hello. Dmitry Kimov, Deck Marine Systems. Very practical question. Well, 2 questions actually. First is very practical. 30 startups. Is it for Estonia only or for the whole program?
It's 10 startups per challenge. So since NATO DIANA is launching 3 challenges this year for the pilot program, there will be many more in the upcoming years. There will be 10 companies per challenge, and they will be basically split across the acceleration sites. So while applying, then each of the startup can already point out which kind of acceleration program they would like to join.
Yeah, thank you. I meant that the 30 startups will be selected for the Accelerator program from all the NATO members. Okay,
yes.
So the competition will be quite tough.
Yeah, this is a piloting year, so this 30 is all over the challenges and divided between the sites.
You had another question?
Yes, one more. If you can share a little bit more about the test centers. So what kind of possibilities are there? Is it based on the universities, or is there any dedicated test centers created specifically for the DIANA program?
There are over 90 dedicated test centers because each of them have committed to be the test center for DIANA. The footprint of test centers is already accessible via a web page, so do go to the DIANA web page and you will see a footprint that I showed you here as well. There will be over 90 test centers starting from the universities, industry, experts, and on the military side, like military campuses, basically. So you can browse the country and then see what kind of test centers they are offering. We have a question online as well. I saw TRL 4 mentioned. Is this maximum TRL level that can apply or the minimum? We have some tech ideas at TRL 1-2 that might be of interest. As pointed out by Pirko, yes, usually we are expecting companies to be at TRL 4 or higher. On exceptional cases, when the tech itself is very impressive, potentially market disruptor, then we are considering companies with a lower TRL as well. Hope it answered your question, Rob. We have a question over there.
Hello, my name is Casper. Kind of feel like I have to apologize for this one, but are open source / non-profits also welcome?
You have to have a company because...
yeah, but non-profit company.
Yeah. Actually, this one, Bernadette, would you like to answer that one? Because it's a very precise question, whether it's allowed to participate with an NGO as well.
So in the pilot year, we do not anticipate including non-for-profits or university research groups. That is something, however, we expect to grow into by 2024.
Cool, thank you.
Sure. I'm happy to answer this question as well, if you want, Kadri. That's on the display about
Yes,
the DUNS
please
number. Would you? Okay, yes. So we do require that you have a DUNS number. It is recognized and available for members of companies in all NATO countries. And on the challenge website, when the open call launches later, there is a specific link you can go to obtain. They are free and they are quick, and it will be required. Unless you're a US company, you'll be required to obtain what is called a US Unique Entity ID. And again, directions for that are on the application in case you haven't done it already.
Already earlier, Bernadette, some of the companies were asking that it takes so much time, approximately 4+ weeks, to get this number. So is it so?
Well, it takes a few days in some places. I don't know in what countries it takes that long, but if that is the experience, I would advise start now, even if you're not sure if you're going to apply, right? Because the application portal is open through August 25th, but this would be essentially required to submit the actual application proposal. So might as well go and get one, and I guarantee you'll find it useful in general. It is free. Many large companies that you want to do business with require it, and many governments require it as well. So might as well obtain one and use this as a good reason.
Thank you. We had a question over there as well.
Yeah, another question for Bernadette. On the trust challenge, is quantum computing an area that is of relevance? And a more practical question on the application, do you apply for a specific regional hub? So when you go through the application process, do you apply for the Tallinn center? Do you have to specify where you're applying to, or is it a centralized process and then companies get allocated to different regional hubs? I understand there are 3 this year.
That's a great question. So in terms of your first part, of course, that if you have a solution that would address the problem when you see the full problem statement and it involves quantum computing, that's certainly one of the emerging and disruptive technology areas we're trying to promote. When you fill out the application, you will be asked what accelerator site you have a preference for, and we will do our best to match your preference to the actual site availability. And we will urge you to go through the site descriptions and see which accelerator sites have particular specialties, if any. We can't guarantee a match, but that is in fact why we ask you to list your first, second, and third choice.
Thank you.
So basically, add to that is that in Estonia's case, our strengths are AI, cyber tech, big data, and autonomous systems. For Denmark, as Bernadette pointed out, it's quantum computing. For Italians, it's everything related with aviation and space. So there are like different strengths that each of the accelerators are good at.
But this year, Denmark and Italy are not taking the applications, right? It's not.
Yes, they are taking.
Oh, they are.
Yes,
Okay.
so all of the applications are already open, starting from this day. So we are having a launch event here in Estonia, but it means that Denmark, Italy, and 2 sites in US are welcoming the applications as we speak as well.
Okay.
Padre, I want to make clear, we're not launching until 3 p.m. in Estonia. Yes, the idea of today is actually accurate. We'll be launching at 1 p.m. in London, where we're headquartered, which will be 3 p.m. in Estonia. So if you're bouncing around the website looking for this, please wait.
Yeah. One thing to add, if you apply, you can also have a consortia. That means you don't need to have, if your idea is kind of connecting 2 or 3 companies, then you can apply also as a consortia.
And we are wrapping up this session. Just a reminder to you that Slido will be open after the event itself for 30 minutes, and we will be here so you can ask questions. But the event itself, it's definitely not over. We are welcoming here SmartCap fund manager Sille Pettai to introduce where the money comes from. So the NATO Innovation Fund, a 1 billion fund. So, Sille, the clicker and the mic is yours.
Thank you so much and congratulations. I think you've done a great job here in Estonia by being one of the sort of the leading sites, one of the fastest and quickest to get up and running it. And I'm Sille from SmartCap. SmartCap is not managing NATO Innovation Fund. Instead, we are an investor in NATO Innovation Fund, representing Estonian commitment to invest in it. And I'll give you some background of it to give some context and understanding behind NATO Innovation Fund. And I have to go back around 2 years because the first ideas and sparring the ideas sort of starting to move towards NATO Innovation Fund started 2 years ago. And I must admit that NATO is fully aware of what the situation is on the market, the growing interest from strategic competitors, adversaries. There are a few more reasons, like understanding that these companies that we're talking about, they used to pop up in the government agencies and public sector. But today, the most novel technologies pop up in private sector. And NATO allies understood that they need to do horizon scanning and scouting in private sector to detect those companies and technologies that might be interesting for them. Also, another good reason is that they understood that the cap tables nowadays, due to these adversaries, might be poisoned. The supply chains might not be clean. And the interest to acquire these companies, very strategically interesting and important companies, the interest is coming from adversaries as well. So as a response, NATO decided to launch Innovation Fund. And actually, around a year ago, 22 countries signed the commitment to launch it. And Finland joined just last month as the newcomer, contributing to it. And it's important because those are the countries where the fund will invest in. So when Estonia made a commitment to invest in NATO Innovation Fund, basically we opened the route, or at least create an opportunity for you to apply for funding from NATO Innovation Fund. And the mission is clear. NATO wants to maintain its technological edge, and it wants to do it by investing in these emerging and disruptive technologies that also were described in quite detail by Kadri and DIANA team. And when we scout these technologies, they must be geared for commercial use. However, they also need to have potential, dual-use potential, so they could have defense and security application. And the overarching principles or objectives of the NATO Innovation Fund are allied adoption. It's been discussed a lot, but there's nothing to do with the dual-use company if no one is willing to adopt it. So NATO Innovation Fund will facilitate the adoption. Also capacity building. We know that dual-use companies have been sort of the underdog, not the most popular investment case for private investors. So we're trying to bust that myth or change the situation, and not by just investing into companies, but also to local venture capital funds, because those venture capital funds here active in the region need to be the future sort of defense sector investors. If we don't create this capacity in private sector right now, there will be no one to invest in dual-use companies in 10 years. So we rather start building the investor ecosystem and the investor base suitable for dual-use companies right now. And also the fund will facilitate and help with commercial success, because the investment team will be very much commercially geared, or they come with very strong commercial backgrounds. They know how to help the companies on the commercial route, on top of allied adoption and giving sort of the way, or giving access to the governments and MODs. And now the structure, when I say NATO Innovation Fund and 1 billion euros, actually what we're creating here is an umbrella structure in Luxembourg. Umbrella structure means that you can plug in several sub-funds there. We can create, if we have an idea, there's a market demand, there's an opportunity, we can create additional sub-funds under this umbrella. So this 1 billion euro NATO Innovation Fund we're talking about is actually sub-fund number 1. So it will be the first step. And the target companies will be startups developing dual-use technologies, and the fund will take minority stakes as usually, any kind of VC investor. And the investment model will be hybrid. As I mentioned, it will invest directly in companies, but also into venture capital funds to validate the venture capital fund and support them in private fundraising, because fundraising for venture capital funds is even harder than for startups. And here I highlighted specifically because you're here for DIANA event and you're thinking about participating in DIANA one way or another. And this fund we're talking about is gonna look for deals coming out of DIANA. So if you're at DIANA, you most likely end up at the radar of the investment team for NATO Innovation Fund. And geographical scope will be very balanced. We aim to have a very diversified investment portfolio among all 23 countries who are contributing to NATO Innovation Fund. The investment period will be 8 years. Fund duration 15 years, which means it's very patient capital. It will accommodate longer development cycles. It will accommodate more or longer time to liquidity, external liquidity. So it is a clear signal we're willing to be patient while you're developing your technologies. And the launch will be at NATO Vilnius Summit in July. Then you will have more details. We have the team in place, the initial core team in place. It will be established from scratch. The whole structure will be established from scratch. So it takes time. And this team is still going through fit and proper tests and security clearance. So we can't really reveal the names yet. They're in the process of being onboarded to NATO Innovation Fund. But around Vilnius Summit, you will hear more detailed information about them. The fund as well, and the right people that you can approach after the fund is launched. So that's a wrap up of NATO Innovation Fund. Hopefully it will make a lot of sense and complement DIANA in Estonia.
Definitely it will, and since money is very, very important for startups, and we are speaking about early stage startups here, so this is now your chance to knock down Sille with your questions, so please do shoot. Once again, you can ask questions via Slido or on site as well. Do we have any questions? Of course we do.
Thanks, Sille. Practical questions, because I was checking also the timelines and everything, and you said that all the fund deal flow comes from the DIANA. So, but the DIANA Accelerator itself starts with the program next year, or at the end of year. So, and your plan to start investments is in autumn. So what does it mean? The companies who are ready for investments but don't want to go to the accelerator should apply to get to your fund, or what's the system there?
NATO Innovation Fund will not only source deals from DIANA accelerators, it will source deals from all over the market. It will source from all its connections, and we will have a dedicated investment manager who is responsible for Estonian deal flow. So it might be she might come to Estonia already this year and do some boots on the ground activities.
We have another question over there. Meanwhile, very quickly, I will answer the question coming through Slido. So what about confidentiality rules? So I can assure you that all of your information is taken care of, and it's being processed in an encrypted version, so nothing leaks out. Yes.
Yeah, it's Pekka again from Extended Runway. You mentioned that dual-use companies haven't been extremely popular in the past amongst the investors for maybe good reasons. How about the institutional investors, where the money actually comes from? Have you seen any change in their behavior in terms of considering defense used to be an absolute no-go area for them? Have you seen any change in their behavior? In Finland, the biggest pension fund already decided that this is totally fine with them as an investment area.
Yes, we see more and more institutional investors revising their ESG policies and exclusion lists. And I guess historically we defined defense sector a bit more stricter way. What we wanted to say was ammunition and armory, but we actually said defense. So now we want to be really precise what we're talking about, and more, accommodating these dual-use technologies. And historically, another interesting thing that we saw in this region was that companies who wanted to produce solutions for defense sector, they chose defense only. And they sort of marketed themselves defense only, which narrowed their use cases and potential customers to a very, very small group, where the selling cycles are very, very long and complicated, rather than positioning themselves as dual use and getting to their customers more quicker on a commercial route. So I think it's down to many reasons and that are behind it. And another thing that we see in Europe versus US, where defense sector is booming, we don't have local defense primes here that do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of dual-use companies.
Yeah, and this, for us at least, this is about saving the lives of the good guys.
Indeed, and not only on the VC side, people are changing their minds, but also regarding business angels, definitely looking into the defense sector more eagerly. Yes, a question from there.
Yeah, hi, Andre. I'm right now following your story about the engagement of VCs. It's nice that you are starting to co-finance them. And what is actually the approach to control them? Because the last 5 years of startup businesses have changed to another directions, and the gambling game of selling off companies for more value is over. And as an inhabitant of or citizen of EU, for example, or NATO states, I would like to see a sustainable and trusted defense industry and not a gambling industry. So how will you control that the VCs are really doing the work they have to do, that they grow the companies and not gambling on them?
That's the question for me, I guess. We do a lot of calls, or we try to invest in VC funds with a clear mission on top of commercial success. And these VC funds that NATO Innovation Fund is going to target need to have a clear impact-driven mission, and it needs to be part of the strategy to cover dual-use technologies.
But at the same time, you can't neglect the business side. So anyhow, you're building a company, so commercially it has to be viable as well, and then it attracts grants. It attracts VC money, money from business angels, so they come hand in hand, I would say. So we have only 15 seconds, so very, very quick question or a wrap up. Oh, okay. What are the down selection criteria for second stage of the program? This is actually already question regarding the acceleration program, but basically the performance, the overall performance, how well the companies are developing throughout the first 6 months. So this is the quick answer. Thank you so much, Sille, for sharing the insights on NIF, and I'm sure that we will see wonderful investments made to the DIANA teams and beyond as well. So an applause.
Thank you.
But now, very interesting part starts. We have 3 quick presentations brought to you. First of all, we have Raul Rikk, Science and Development Director at Milrem, sharing their story. Definitely Milrem is perceived firsthand as a defense company, but actually they are strongly on the dual-use side as well, serving the civilian market. And how do they do that? How have they been so successful? Raul, the floor is yours. You are welcome to share your ideas.
Great, thank you very much. It's great to be here and share our experience with how to start a defense-focused company that also has products for other sectors. So I will tell a very shortly story of creation and development of Milrem Robotics. So at the moment, what we have 2 unmanned platforms. So that's what we have dealing with over the 10 years. We have the smaller one and we have the bigger one. We are not developing the payloads for these systems. Our goal from the start was that we want to develop unmanned systems that could be used for different purposes. And the military was one of these purposes. And now, of course, after the war in Ukraine, we have mainly paid focus on that sector, even though we have dealt with other sectors also, like firefighting, mining, forestry, all these systems. But at the moment, we have paid focus on the military sector. And what we have is that in addition to the 2 platforms that could be used as remotely controlled and partially also autonomously, we also do a lot of concept development and experimentation. This is probably one of the lessons learned what we have seen, that it's not enough that you develop a product, you have to educate the customer, because I have to say that I'm a former military officer as well. The military is not an easy customer. They think long, they want to have a really reliable products, and how to say, there is no room for bullshit. So once they buy something, they want that it works. And that's why we have this CD&D, concept development and the experimentation team, to deal with the customer in order to show that how the systems actually give value to them. Also, we have C2 BMS, so that's the command control system we develop, so that if you have more than 1 or 2 unmanned platforms, how to organize them and how to manage them as a fleet. And we do a lot of system integration, because once we don't produce the payloads of the systems, we try to provide to the customer the full capability. So we cooperate with a lot of other companies in order to put on the platform whatever the customer wants. So here you can see, for example, that we have different versions of the same unmanned system. So we have put machine guns on top of that, radio systems, reconnaissance systems, road clearance systems, and many others. And some of these systems are already sent to Ukraine as well, like for example the support cargo vehicle that is used for transportation, last mile logistics, and also casualty evacuation. And also we have put the road clearance system on top of that, so these vehicles are also in Ukraine. So that's the way how we have supported the ongoing activities in Ukraine. Also, regarding the bigger one, that's a prototype at the moment. But this is a very good example how a really important project could start. So it was several years ago, we were in our meeting room and we had visitors from one country, and we just gave our normal presentation, just like, I don't know, like today or with what you have also with different customers. And suddenly the customer asked that, so we were here showing this Themis, and the customer asked that, could you create something bigger as well? So we said that, okay, we can create if there is an interest. Then they said that, yes, we have interest. So how much it's going to cost if we won't pay that for that? So we did calculation in a couple of hours, showed the number, several millions. They said, okay, let's do it. And 2 years later, the bigger version of the system was created. And it took a lot of engineering, but the vehicle was developed from the scratch. And for us, it started from the very routine meeting or presentation. So you never know how it's gonna go and where the opportunity is. So certainly you need to have a knowledge, you have to have an ambition and vision, but then you have to understand where the opportunity is in that regard. Also, what we have created is the system for firefighters. So it's deployed in the Netherlands at the moment. And the platform is exactly the same. We have just painted a different color and put on different payload. And it works well. And here is also, we have different versions of it. So the same vehicle, same platform, autonomous navigation or remote controlled system is still the same, but the payload is different and different sector can use it. This is a very good example of the dual use technology. From the engineering point of view, it makes a lot of sense. You do the investment once, and then you just add different integrations, and you have different products. Here's another one for forestry. So we have developed the tree planting system for several years now. This is also an option, how you can enter. And as I mentioned, of course, now we are paying most of the focus to the military sector because of the war in Ukraine, but otherwise, the logic behind the platform was the same. So to develop autonomous, remotely controlled, unmanned system that could be used for different purposes. And how did we get here? It's a little bit busy slide, but I just have highlighted some of the main aspects here. So the Milrem started about 10 years ago, and there was just an idea from the Tallinn Technical University. There were 2 engineers who came to the leadership of actually Sille bus company. So the company was started about 10 years ago, but before that there was a bus company that operated on the streets in Tallinn. And the engineers came to the leadership and said that we have an idea that let's put together the vehicle that could be used remotely or it's with some autonomous functions. And then it started from there. They started to create a prototype. So here is one of the pictures. So very early stage prototypes. And there was also a funny story that after a while, these 2 engineers came to the leadership and asked that, can we hire a 3rd engineer? Because it seems that there's a lot of work and we need the 3rd one. And then the leadership asked that, are you sure? Do you really need the 3rd engineer? So what the 3rd engineer will do? So, and then these 2 engineers explained that what the 3rd one will do. Now we have, I think, 170, 80 engineers in different sectors. Mechatronics, software engineering, other areas, so a lot of engineers, and we still want to grow. At least about 100 persons this year, and we want to grow from 250 to 500 in a couple of years. So the game has changed a lot for us. So the first Themis vehicle was developed about 10 years ago, 2015. The concept was demonstrated in London during the DSI exhibition, and the first one was sold 2 years later to the US customer. And after a while, it took several exhibitions and demonstrations and work with the customer. Then we started strategic cooperation with KMW. That's a big German-based military industry company. And they bought about 25% of the shares. So the big player came into the play, and we could start to benefit their involvement. Later we got, or even before that, we got from the investors directly about 5 million euros. And it seemed to be that this time the investors just evaluated the team, not so much about what is the outcome. Because as we all know, the military capabilities wasn't in focus in last decade in Europe. Now, of course, the game is very different. But still, we were able to attract investors because the fundamental need doesn't go anywhere. Just considering where is our location, who are our neighbors, and we just have to have this defense capability. So they were willing to invest quite a lot in the beginning. And now, of course, this year we started strategic cooperation with Age Group, so they bought a little bit more than 50% of our shares, and they do a big investment in order to grow the company even bigger. So that's our story. We started as a startup during the time when defense wasn't cool at all in Europe, but we believed in the logic that that you can see here, that ultimately the battlefield should be totally autonomous and remotely controlled. So we all understand well that we don't want to put humans on the battlefield, that they can get killed or injured. If we have the technology available and we can create something that we can win the battle the way that we don't need to put the humans in harm, that's, I think, the ultimate goal. If you have something to add to these capabilities, today is exactly the right moment. Last week, NATO ministers and defense industry companies met in Brussels, and the message was clear. NATO wants to get more defense capability out of the knowledge that we have in the private sector. I think the environment is much, much better than 10 years ago. If somebody wants to deal with defense industry or capabilities at the moment, that's exactly the right time. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And then a round of applause. I will take the clicker as well. So as Raul pointed out, startups should be opportunistic and think beyond their usual playgrounds. So now shifting a bit the topic. So if it flies beyond your heads, if it's smart, and if it's on a mission of surveillance, then probably it's owned by Threod. So please, Arno, Vaik, join me here on the stage, CEO of Threod.
Hello everyone, my name is Arno Vaik and I am here because of my work as the CEO of Threod Systems. And it's really an honor to be here to assist the launch of NATO DIANA initiative for startups. Estonian defense industry market is very small, but it doesn't mean we don't have enough people here with brilliant ideas. And as Estonia has been proving continuously to be a leader in terms of having the startups and unicorns and the investments per capita here, so I think this location cannot be much better. But in Threod Systems, we know very well what the word acceleration means and how important is the good acceleration. Because there are a certain type of drones that needs to be given externally a good speed to lift off the ground. And for that reason, we have built our own machine accelerator, which is called Kata. It can take a drone with a mass of up to 250 kilograms and give it a speed up to 55 meters per second during this short journey of 17 meters. I'm telling you this because Threod Systems is mainly known of producing the flying machines. But less is known that we also provide subcomponents to different other drone manufacturers, and this is one of the examples where we support the other drone manufacturers around the world. But our own product, and initially they also, when we started to design aircraft, they were also the type that needed this kind of acceleration in the beginning of the flight. But we learned very early stage that vertical takeoff and landing is much more beautiful and much more stable. So our current flagship product is EOS eVTOL. And this is a hybrid aircraft. It combines the multi-rotor and a fixed-wing aircraft. So this is a fully electrical aircraft which can fly up to distance 50 kilometers and with a time up to 3 hours flight time. It starts as a helicopter, lifts up, and then turns into silent and more energy efficient mode, fixed wing mode, and then goes to these ISR missions to see and detect what's needed to find. We have been delivering this product worldwide, and we have sold the products up to 10 NATO countries so far. And this aircraft is flying currently in Ukraine, and actually it was working there already before this full-sized war began. It's all made in Estonia, the airframe, the electronic parts, autopilot, software, user interface, everything is made here in Estonia. So these are probably the small achievements that we have made that was the cause for inviting me here to present you and to tell you something about our company and the way we have been developing and succeeded. So, what is the secret of success in defense industry, you might ask? My answer would probably disappoint you. I don't know. I really don't know. So, why such a statement from a CEO of such a company? And you may ask, and why did I even bother to come here if I don't have anything sensible to say to you? But this is exactly why I came to tell you. There was a time when I was new in this field and started my journey in the defense industry. And I was eager to learn from those who have been here before. And I met a lot of people who knew exactly how the defense industry works and what needed to be done. And I listened to them very carefully, but then I realized that in most cases those people were completely wrong. But then from the other hand, there were people who admitted they have no knowledge. They were courageous to say that out. They were humble enough to say that we don't know the answers, but they were ready to search for those answers. And I must say that working together with those seemingly less knowledgeable people, it turned out to be much more useful for the company, and it brought us much more further than those who thought they knew everything about the market and industry. So we have made in our past also mistakes, and development hasn't been very straightforward. But our mistakes were only due because we were arrogant and thought that we know everything, what the market needs, what products and what services are needed. And our success came when we were humble and said that we don't know and started to look for the answers. So, as you understand from this, that our development was not always a straightforward and easy line. And I have the similar story like Milrem mentioned, that you need to seize the opportunities. Actually, this launcher which I showed you in the beginning, this was considered as just a side project. There was a period when we didn't have enough orders and we needed to keep our engineers busy. And then we took a challenge for just another company to help them to build this accelerator. But it turned out to be so successful that many other companies wanted it. And now, last year we needed to open new facilities to accommodate the construction of it. So you need to just also look around, be open-minded and seize the opportunities. But innovation, DIANA is about innovation. So what is innovation? It's not like doing something which somebody knows how to do. It's actually go into the journey, take the courage to jump into the unknown waters and see where it takes you. So when I look back at our company's history, I think you really need some kind of sense of madness to go into the military industry. Because yes, seemingly there are a lot of strong competitors. It's really hard to get the financing. Also, the decision-making process of the customers, it's extremely slow. So there's so many also obstacles. It seems like completely mission impossible. But who says what is impossible? There was a mathematician, physician, and engineer in Great Britain called Lord Kelvin, who said in 1895 that flying with a machine that is heavier than air is completely impossible. But you see, we build every day this kind of machines. So our path is, we can't say that everything is possible, but a lot still is possible. So to wrap it up, my presentation brought you some interest towards our company and raised some questions, we are happy to announce that we are growing and we are hiring. So if there is some people who would like to share our passion towards the flying objects and contribute to that and see how we are doing it, you're welcome to join. But if you have some really crazy ideas that you think that might change the world better and safer place, and then you have this DIANA program now, please get to that and get accelerated and fly high. It's all from my side.
Thank you, and an applause. So be curious, as Arno pointed out, to break the glass ceiling. It seems to be impossible, but it is actually possible. But Estonians do not only build magnificent autonomous systems, as we have heard, but they do build powerful systems on the software side as well. So one-stop shop for intelligence gathering and storage, it has been said by SensusQ, and I'm welcoming here Marko, Kaseleht, the co-founder and the CEO of a company.
Check. Good day. So, I'm Marko. I'm CEO of SensusQ, and in order to kind of start this story, I have to explain my background a bit. So, ex-military, 16 years in service, or 15, don't remember anymore, most of my time deployed. But 2013, I decided to switch and joined in the dark side. Basically started in defense industry. Started as a consultant, sold everything from socks to helicopters, no socks, no helicopters, everything in between. My talent was seen by Patria. I was hired as their head of business development here in Baltic region, and it's mostly in Estonia. Did some projects in Estonia, was sent to build up Patria Latvia. Then Guldar Väärsi found me, hired me as their Department of Sales and Business Development Director. And in 2020, I received a very weird phone call from Startup Wise Guys that they want to fund my project. So I kind of received my very first investment of 55,000 euros. And if you want to take an island, you have to burn the boats. So basically left Milrem and established SensusQ. So, first of all, before going to my team, how I would like to build this up is simple. I will try to go through this as quickly as possible because I want you to ask some questions from me as well, or at least give you the opportunity to do so. So, the core, the skeleton of every startup is the team, and our team is very unique. It actually started from the core team of me, Villiko, Tõnis and Virgo, and also Kieran and Adrian. So in combined, we had 140 years of relevant experience in defense. We actually knew what kind of lives our end users were living, what was the problem, and the most importantly, we had unique access to ask about their limitations and their problems. And that's something what defense industry has kind of forgotten. They developed this all cool technology and they will go to the battlefield and say like, hey, we have this awesome piece of equipment, please use it. But in reality, you will not use it in a real combat because it doesn't consider the processes and drills, how those units have been trained. So right now, we are the team of 32 people. We have unique skill sets in the company. We build both the front end, back end, and the overall architecture. Honestly, I don't know nothing about software management, but I do know how about leading people. So what do we do? It's an intelligence management software. And in order to kind of explain it to you what it does, you first need to understand what are the levels of information and stages of information. So everybody knows that when you take a bunch of data, you put some analysis behind it, you will have information. So the question here, what is the next level? It actually, if you take a lot of information, you put some additional analysis behind it, you add a dissemination plan, you answer some questions, you will actually get intelligence. What is intelligence? Intelligence is actually knowledge and actually situational understanding. So if we think about understanding and awareness, first of all, like situational awareness, right now everybody are in this room, we know where is the window, where is the door, we know most of the people around us, but this picture will change, and that is provided by battlefield management systems. So what do? We focus on the situational understanding, so basically connecting everything in a one single graph, why people are here, what is the environment, who are the players, etc., etc. And once you have situation awareness and situation understanding, then the next evolution is forecast. This is what AI is trying to solve right now. But the problem in there again is that the actual fact that we give technology to people who don't use it, who doesn't understand it. And when the human doesn't understand how AI actually got these calculations, then they will not trust it, believe me. So the journey in this industry is not going to be easy. That is one thing what you need to understand. This DIANA is a very good initiative, NATO Investment Fund is a very good initiative, but if you want to take the journey, you need to be able to fundraise yourselves as well. And that is the hardest part. I don't believe in dual use so much because I believe in focusing on things. That's why we have been in the defense industry. There has been lots of different kind of VCs coming to us, oh, show us the law enforcement vertical or some kind of risk management or business intelligence, compliance or fraud or whatever. We can do that, yes, but I am a defense specialist, expert, basically a person who has made every single possible mistake in a very narrow field. I cannot go to the banking system and say that, hey, I can solve your problems. So 2020 it started. We composed or found the core team. Then at the same year, actually, we received our very first agreements with the Estonian Defence Forces and UK Armed Forces. And then we did our seed round. Everybody asked how I actually took the valuation. We raised 550,000 from 5 million euro valuation. Where the valuation came? I literally said it's 5 million euros. Done. Just sounded believable. Then 2021, we renewed the contracts with the Estonian Defence Forces. We received the very first grants. We received the very first early adopters. Then this took us to closer to 2022, where we actually did the very first deliveries. We started business-to-business collaboration, and that's the crucial factor. I mean, business-to-business collaboration is one of the ways how we can actually get into the market as well. You need to understand the defense differences. Like in Estonia, everything is open. Like everybody can come and participate in our procurements, but this is not the common case in other parts of the world. Their defense budget is meant for their defense companies, meaning that you have to find a very unique angle how to approach that. Then we have been participating through different kind of exercises and different kind of things. We have opened markets in Baltic region, in Central Eastern Europe, and right now we heavily operate in Ukraine and Moldova. So that leaves us 3 minutes, basically. Before asking, do you guys have any questions? One thing what I want to say is that this journey is hard. But if you're willing to take this, it's going to be a very interesting one. And the main aim for companies like us should be to save human lives and resources. So I'm open to any kind of questions.
An applause. So any questions to Marko? Yes, we have over there.
Purely practical question, because you're a best practice example for a former military switching to business. How to attract or motivate former colleagues, for example, to join startups or to support them?
I honestly believe that defense career is like a evolution. It is normal that ex-soldiers, ex-military people will end up in defense industry. In Estonia, we used to have this basically maritime security. Now there is a need of specialists who actually have some kind of combat experience. So in Estonia it's easy. I believe it's easy in other countries as well, because I think 40% of our people are ex-UK Army and UK forces.
I'm also an entrepreneur, and we entrepreneurs tend to live on dreams. Where's your dream 5 to 10 years from now? Where's the company, and where you personally are going to be then? And how much are you raising currently?
So I'm not building a defense prime. That is not my goal. I honestly believe that we can change the world, because when I'm looking at my market, it's $1.6 trillion. Defense is only 28% of that. So I know that this is going to end eventually in a way that one of the primes will come and say to us that, hey, or are you interested to sell us your exclusivity in defense? And probably the answer is going to be yes. I don't know. I will trust whatever my investors and shareholders will do and say. But what I do know is that when this situation is going to happen, then obviously all the money should be invested back to security, risk management, compliance, and fraud, or so on and so on. So right now we are preparing for our next round. It's a post-seed number 2. We're raising 5 to 7.5 million euros. Round is mostly closed. We have our lead candidates and we have the go-lead investors. And the aim of this round is to literally put ourselves ready for a more serious Series A round, where we actually need to raise more money. Because right now we have also started a collaboration with Microsoft and our biggest competitor, Palantir. So those are just one of those milestones. But if anyone is interested, you can always find me afterwards and I can talk more.
Final question from anyone? Seems not, then one more applause.
Thank you.
So what would be the key takeaways from today's sessions? As Raul pointed out, definitely startups tend to be, and you should be, opportunistic. Arno was pointing out that be curious. Everything that seems to be impossible tend to be possible if you are good at it. And Marko said that you should be focused. And even though if you are building a dual-use startup, definitely it doesn't mean that simultaneously you should or could be focused on several verticals. But on the validation phase, definitely this is the thing you should do. Discover the fields, discover new opportunities, whether they are on the commercial and civilian civilian sector, whether this sector is willing to move faster or whether the defense will move faster instead. You'll never know until you have figured it out. I'm very, very glad that you showed up. You invested your time into us. Me and Daria and Pirko, we are going to be here hanging around so you can have more questions answered by us. The Slido will be open for 30 minutes after the session and the broadcast is closed already. So definitely ask your questions through Slido as well, and we assure you that we will send all of the questions to Central NATO DIANA team to be answered through the frequently asked questions section. This is the time now, today is the time to apply to the DIANA. What Bernadette pointed out that 3 o'clock Estonian time, 1 o'clock London time, the applications will be opening up. And throughout the process, if you should have any questions regarding the application form, don't hesitate to reach out. Stay tuned, watch our channels, and we will publish updates on DIANA in our channels further on as well. Enjoy the summer, and all from my side, thank you.
And before we end this session, I just want to congratulate from Estonian Business Angels side. And I wanted to say I have never seen that hardworking, that ambitious and positive person and a leader than Kadri Tammai. Hands together for Kadri.
Musikana.